Welcome back. Time now to bring in our panel as we talk about this week's top stories. Joining us here in studio today, we have former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, former GOP lawmaker Mike Murphy, former communications director for the Indiana Democrats, Jennifer Wagner-Chartier, and Purdue University professor Martin Sweet, who's also a veteran of the Rubio campaign. Our thanks to all of you for being here. It's been a pretty consequential week in American politics, the indictment of a former president and also the situation in Tennessee, where some lawmakers were expelled for taking part in a gun control rally. What's the broader takeaway here when it comes to the state of our democracy in these very divided times? Martin, I'll start with you.
Well, I think this is a story of polarization, right? Our red states are getting redder, our blue states are getting redder, and the level of vitriol.
Blue states bluer.
Bluer states bluer,
Yeah.
right? And what we're seeing is that folks are taking politics in sort of it's become everything to everybody, right? And it's sort of no holds barred. And so this sort of actions of expelling members for what looked like, maybe it was indecorous type actions, but certainly protected speech, looks pretty petty and vitriolic.
Jennifer, your thoughts on that situation and the broader perspective on what it means for our country?
I think it's scary. I agree with everything Martin said. I think it's really scary when you've got elected officials who are out there exercising what seem to be their First Amendment rights, kicked out of doing their job because someone disagreed with them. Like, that's the very foundation of our American democracies, that we can agree to disagree and that the government is not going to get in the way of that. So it's a little bit scary. I do think, though, that there are still good things happening in government and still good things happening in politics. They're just not taking up all of the airtime.
Mike, your view from across the aisle, and how do we navigate politics and find solutions in our government amidst all the other rancor?
I was just thinking that John Gregg threatened to expel me several times during my tenure, but no, seriously, we haven't seen this kind of almost violent tribalism since the Civil War, when in Indiana, divorces occurred. I mean, towns split. Draft officers were shot on town squares. I mean, it can get crazier, and my fear is that it does get crazier before it gets better.
Robin, I'll give you the last word on this and the impact that you think this has on our democracy.
Oh, I think it's a degradation of all the institutions that matter, whether it's the police, the government, the very basis of the legislative thing. I think people want to just tear it down. And I think somebody's got to come along and say, stop. There are great things, like Jennifer said, that government can do, but quit grandstanding. The thing in Tennessee the other day was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
What about the former president's indictment this week and the impact on 2024? How does this impact the Republican field in your view, Martin?
Well, I actually have to think that Democrats are pretty gleeful by this whole sort of thing, right? You've got all of sort of the Republican Party now sort of effectively coming to the defense of Donald Trump, saying at least he shouldn't be prosecuted, even if what he did was wrong. And so what has happened now is that anyone else who wants to sort of get airtime, who wants to find voters, are sort of running up against that Trump aura.
Jennifer, your thoughts on that? Are Democrats gleeful, as Martin put it?
I wouldn't say gleeful. It's never a good situation when the former president of the United States is, indicted. I think it's good for the Democratic Party writ large, but it's not great for democracy. But I also don't think it's going to matter. I have said many times on this show, things that any other politician would or could do that would be detrimental to their careers, Donald Trump does with impunity.
Will he potentially be the nominee again, Mike? How do you see this playing out?
I don't think he will be the nominee. And one piece of hope that sprang up this week was Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas.
He's running for president.
A legitimate, thoughtful governor in his day has said, that maybe the only one has said, that Donald Trump should not be the Republican nominee.
President Biden's chances of re-election better if he does go up against Donald Trump yet again?
It's going to be tough. I think Donald Trump's going to be their nominee. I mean, I think this is the guy that motivates their voters. I think that there have been surveys that said his numbers actually went up after he was indicted, and I think he's going to be a formidable foe. We'll get him, we'll beat him, because I think people will be turned off, but I still think he's their nominee of the party.
Let's also talk about the news from the State House this past week. Governor Holcomb signing the bill banning hormone therapy, puberty blockers for transgender Hoosiers under the age of 18, just a day after he said the situation was, quote, clear as mud, in his words. He did indeed sign the bill. Jennifer, what's your reaction to this?
I think the governor was in a tough situation because if he signed it, he signed it. If he vetoed it, they were going to overrule his veto. I think
There wasn't much he really could do
No.
if he opposed it.
there wasn't, and I
signed
think,
it,
I mean, the older I get, the more I find myself turning into a libertarian in certain aspects of like, it would just be nice to return to a government that does no harm, and this bill, I think, does harm. And it's also a solution that, was in search of a problem. It's not actually happening. That said, it's going to be played out in the courts, and I think the ACLU will do what the ACLU does very well.
Mike, will this be another one of those bills passed in the legislature that does indeed get held up or possibly overturned in the court
Well,
system?
ultimately, only the lawyers will win in this, absolutely, on both sides. But I was surprised the governor signed it because he did veto the other anti-trans bill. He knew it was going to be overridden, which gave him the ability to look good to the corporate world and the academic world without having to take any risk. I thought he'd do the same thing this time, and I'm still not entirely sure. I haven't talked to him, obviously. I don't know why he decided to sign this one when he vetoed the last one.
The U.S. Supreme Court, in fact, on the issue of transgender athletes playing on their chosen teams, making a ruling this past week more in favor of transgender athletes. Big news as well out of the Supreme Court this week involving Justice Clarence Thomas as well. A lot of news involving the court.
It's great to be king. I mean, this guy has been on yachts, he's been on planes, he's everybody's friend. $500,000 is what they said that vacation would have cost him, underwritten by a Republican super donor, but he doesn't see any conflict of interest in that at all. I mean, come on. I mean, at some point you got to be a judge, okay? So I'm not a big Clarence Thomas fan, so you don't have to look to me for anything but criticism.
Martin, on pretty much every level in politics, we're running into a lot of unprecedented situations we haven't seen before, it feels like.
We are, and we're seeing all of our institutions under attack, the Supreme Court being one, right? And it reminds me, and I teach constitutional law, and we make a big deal about things like recusal and should this justice do this sort of stuff. The Supreme Court, right, they're final not because they're infallible because they're final, right? And so even if Justice Thomas does not want to recuse himself, who's to say he can't?
There's really
right?
no mechanism.
No.
Yeah.
He serves for life.
All right. Well, as do all of you on this panel. We appreciate that. We appreciate your tenure here and being here every week to talk about all of these consequential developments in American politics, no doubt. All right, they'll be back with this week's winners and losers coming up. But next, a new proposal on health care costs passes out of committee, but some lawmakers aren't happy with it. I'll tell you about the bill that even some supporters want to see changed. That's straight ahead.